Hi, friends. It's Frank. I am re recording this episode on February 2nd, 2025. I'm doing it because I want to give you an important update on the rewriting, revision, and expansion of my very old book, The Untold Story of the New Testament Church, which was written between 2003 and 2004, and it was published in 2005. Now, that was the first book I ever wrote that was picked up by a publisher. And that first edition was poorly written. It has many flaws in it, many historical errors, pieces of information that are inaccurate and out of date, not to mention the orange cover that the publishers created, which is, well, horrible. So I'm recording this episode to let you know that I have completely rewritten the book from beginning to end, a complete overhaul, and I have expanded it significantly. The new version is now 5 times larger than the old edition. The research is up to date, and it has been reviewed by a number of first-rate New Testament scholars. So it is historically accurate. I had several New Testament scholars, some of the best in the world, who were my historical advisors. 20 biblical scholars went through the manuscript. Now, some people have asked me, why was the old edition flawed? And that's really simple to answer. That was 20 years ago. And at that time, I had a fraction of the books and the historical works and the scholarly volumes that I have today. Not to mention, many of them were not even written yet. I would say perhaps half or more of the books that appear in the bibliography of the new edition did not even exist when I wrote this work. In addition, the publisher wanted it in a hurry, so I wrote it very quickly. Add to that, I have written many books over the last 20 years since that old edition came out, and I have improved dramatically as a writer and a researcher. Consequently, to compare the old edition to the new version is like comparing a go-kart to a Ferrari, the new version being the Ferrari. And by the way, the cover of the new version is simply stunning. It is a white cover with elegant, colorful brushstrokes on the borders. And it actually looks more beautiful when you have it in your hands and you're looking at it than even the photos. But the first edition, it was a stab at something. I felt it was important to put it out into the world at the time, and I still feel that way, even more so now than I do then. By the way, this is not a book that advocates a certain form of church. So it's not a book that is trying to persuade people about church structure or ecclesiology. Therefore, it's not an organic church book. It's not a house church book. It's not an institutional church book. It really has nothing to do with ecclesiology. It is a book that guides you through the New Testament chronologically and shows you what really happened and what the New Testament is really saying in its historical context. So if you can think of going back in a time machine on the day of Pentecost and watching what took place, and from there meeting Saul of Tarsus, watching his conversion, following him everywhere he went, meeting Timothy, meeting Titus, the 12 apostles, all that happened in the book of Acts and in the epistles, you were there watching it unfold chronologically. That's what the book does. It puts you there. And this new edition has been endorsed by 20 esteemed scholars, and it will release on March 4th, 2025. If you're listening before March 4th, 2025, please wait to buy the book until it releases. It should be available on any bookstore. I would encourage you not to pre-order it, but wait until March 4th. Now, if you're listening to this after March 4th, you can pick up a copy anytime from anywhere it's being sold. Now, if you have a copy of the old, flawed orange edition, I would like to request that you throw it away. Don't give it to a friend. You'll be doing them an injustice, giving them a flawed book. Don't donate it to Goodwill. Once again, someone will get it and probably read it instead of getting the new, revised, corrected, expanded edition. Creating the new edition of the book took me 3 years, which really is more than an edition. It's a completely new book. But it took 3 years out of my life, virtually every day, working on it for hours and hours. It has over 2,400 footnotes, which documents my findings and adds further details to the story. But if you don't like footnotes, you can just ignore them and read the narrative. It's a very easy read. Some people said it reads like a movie on paper. And here's where to get it. You can go to theuntoldstory.net, theuntoldstory, one word, .net. Wait for it to redirect, and you'll get on the landing page, which is being updated regularly. And when it releases, or just before it releases, it's going to have everything you'll need to know or want to know about the book. Thanks for listening. God bless.